I got this baby right here, the Sony a7 IV. We're gonna talk about this. Sexy ass camera. Look at this. Oh yeah. Hey, welcome back to the channel. In today's video, I want to be talking to you about the Sony a7 IV as a hybrid camera. So I've used this camera for a little bit of everything, client work, portraits. I've used it as well when I was traveling throughout the country of Portugal. I like to say that I have a really good understanding of what this camera can do. I use it as a stills camera first, mixed with video. In doing so, I find that my user experience with this camera to be a great experience. I like the way this camera is built. If you guys are familiar with the Sony a7S III, it's the same build, handling, everything, except that the a7 IV is a little bit lighter than the Sony a7S III. The a7S III feels a bit more premium. The a7 IV does have a plasticky feel to it, but overall, it still feels good to me. What I really appreciate is the little switch that toggles from the photo mode to the video mode and the S&Q mode. This saves a lot of time in my opinion, and I can have my photo settings saved separate from my video settings, something that my Fujifilm X-H2S doesn't have. I'm looking at you, Fuji. I'm looking at you. You think I forgot? You video-centric camera, you. I love how this camera feels in my hands when I'm holding it. The grip feels nice. It feels very secure to hold in my hands. I have zero complaints about that. And the flip out LCD screen is great for me as well. I like to film my YouTube videos, and honestly, it's a great way to monitor myself and keep me in frame. However, I do not like the resolution of the back LCD screen and as well as the EVF. I wish they were a bit brighter and sharper in resolution. There are times where I look back at the screen and I wasn't fully confident whether or not I nailed focus, only to return to my desk and to review my photos to see that they are indeed in focus and it's sharp. Another thing I do like is the multiple custom buttons all over the camera. You can really customize this camera to your liking and not have to go into the menu system, which I do appreciate. Speaking of menu system, it's improved, but it's still confusing to me. It's like so freaking confusing to just navigate through that entire menu system. The Sony a7 IV also comes with a dual memory card slot. What I like about this memory card slot is that one can be used as a CF Express Type A card, but it also can fit an SD card if you don't need that much speed from the CF Express Type A. Now, for someone that shoots photos first, I like this idea just in case someone like me doesn't need the faster memory card because they're not doing anything demanding or filming at the highest bit rates. And you know, it saves a lot of money not having to buy more memory cards when you have a bunch of SD cards laying around. Battery life on this thing is great. Whenever I'm filming my YouTube videos, grabbing content outside, filming B-roll, I can get anywhere from an hour to 2 hours of recording. This includes filming 4K 24 and 4K 60. When I'm shooting only photos, the longest I've shot was 4 hours with this camera, and I took around 2,000 shots, and I was left about 10% of the battery. We also have a full-size HDMI port, which is great because the smaller size HDMI were always flimsy. It doesn't have a secure fit like the full size do. Let's move on to the autofocusing. So FYI, I used to own the Sony a7 II and I was not a fan of that camera. The colors were just terrible on that camera. And the reason why I gave Sony another chance was because of its autofocusing. The eye autofocusing with its hit rate is something that I always wanted. I love how good Sony's autofocusing is. It's really amazing. You can really give this to someone that's never shot with a camera before and have them just push a button and let the autofocusing take care of the rest. That's how reliable this autofocusing is. And every time I use it, I'm not even worried if it missed focus or not. I do trust that this autofocus will get what I asked for in focus. It's great for someone like me who shoots portraits, someone that asks their models to, you know, move around in their posing a lot. Again, it's incredibly reliable in photos and in videos. And that is something that you want when you have clients. I've worked with a paint company while I was back in Toronto. What I usually do is go on site and capture them working, painting, or sanding a wall. It's great that I can turn on the face tracking and know that I can deliver. The last thing I want to do is have them redo a take or tell them to pose because, you know, they are there to finish a job. They're not models. So I have to work within their parameters, and having an autofocusing as reliable as the Sony helps me deliver great shots so that they can use on their website and their social media content. Let's move on to the image quality. This camera packs a 33 megapixel backside illuminated sensor. I personally think that the 33 megapixel is a sweet spot for the number of pixels that anyone would want. Anything more is in a different tier and league. I love the image coming out of this camera. The colors are true to life. The skin tones have greatly improved. The skin tones have greatly improved from the old Sony a7 II days. The full frame look is something that I also enjoy while using this camera. And having a full frame sensor means better dynamic range and also better low light performances. It usually results in a cleaner looking image when in low light situations. I've used this camera in low light settings before, photographing painters in houses that doesn't have adequate lighting or shitty lighting or no lighting at all. Shooting at a neon studio where it's basically low light. And I can say that this sensor is freaking great. It gives me a cleaner image than my Fujifilm X-S10 at high ISO ranges. Although the Sony RAW files are a bit harder to work with, I'm still able to get the look I want out of the images. Sony RAW files are not something that I'm used to. Having spent so much time shooting with a Fujifilm RAW, I do find that, again, it's a little bit difficult. You have to massage the Sony RAW files to get it looking the way that you want it to. The 4K video coming out of this camera is absolutely gorgeous. Because it's using a 33 megapixel sensor, it's basically a 7K sensor downsampled to 4K, which results in the video looking really sharp, crisp, and detailed. I am in love with the footage coming from the Sony a7 IV. It shoots 10-bit 422 internally, which allows for more color information for anyone that wants to color grade their log footage without it breaking and crumbling down on them. And then, you know, throw on some Phantom LUTs by Joe Famulero and you have yourself a cinematic looking video. And it's really great. Joe, if you're watching this, make some Phantom LUTs for the Fujifilm X-H2S, please. I need some. Thank you. Cheers. It shoots up to 4K 60, but the 4K 60 is with a 1.5 times crop, which I don't mind because I do have a Tamron 17-28 wide angle lens that still gives you a wide enough range when it's punched in. I actually use the 4K 60 in my favor. If I need a little bit of reach, I'll just shoot 4K and slow it down in post. Some people may see this 4K 60 as a con, some may see a good use for it, so it's really up to you how you see this. I'm a glass half full kind of guy, so I like to see the positive. This camera does get a tad warm when shooting 4K 24 for a very long time. All I do is shoot in 4K 24, I shoot all I, S-Log2, 10-bit 422, and whenever I'm done, I hold the camera and I know that it's a little bit warm. It doesn't give me the overheat warning and to shut down. You can only get that if you change your temperature settings to high. I believe that if you don't change this, then the camera is going to shut down. So just keep that in mind. The one thing that this camera suffers from is the poor rolling shutter. This has got to be some of the worst rolling shutters that I've ever seen in my life. Everything just turns into jelly. The lines are so bendy. So just be mindful of that. Anything you film has to be on a tripod or a gimbal. Any handheld action may be more susceptible to rolling shutter if you're going to whip this camera around like a madman. Overall, I think this is a fantastic camera. If you're a hybrid shooter, you can't go wrong with this camera. It offers a bit of everything. You just gotta live with some of its quirk, like the 4K 60 crop, the bad rolling shutter performances, and Sony's bad menu system. But for the price, it's not bad. It's giving you a 33 megapixel full frame camera with great autofocusing. I believe that they used the autofocusing tech from the Sony A1 and put it in this camera. 7K downsampled video to a 4K footage with 10-bit color and S-Log2. The photo and video quality you get from this is just beautiful. It's a great hybrid tool. And I think if you're looking at this as a stills first camera with a little bit of video, then this camera will deliver. It's a reliable tool that I have in my kit, and I don't have much complaints besides the one that I mentioned earlier. And I gotta hand it to Sony, man, for always delivering on making such reliable products. And I think if you're looking for a video-centric camera, I still think there are better options out there for you. Again, 4K 60 crop can be a deal breaker for you. There's no 4K 120 in here. And again, bad rolling shutter. If you're a run and gun shooter that likes to film everything by hand, you know, you like filming with your hands for that energetic movement, I don't think this camera is it for you. That is my review on the Sony a7 IV. What are your thoughts on this camera? Do you hate it? Do you love it? Do you have this camera? Let me know what you think down below. And don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to my channel. It will totally help me out. And don't forget to follow me on my socials, Instagram, TikTok, Twitter at Iamtongue. And that is it for me, guys. Once again, my name is Tongue, and I'll see you in the next video. I love you.